the NBA players on set. I'm going to wear stilts next time you see her there with Carmelo and Reggie Miller. And that's with Reggie Miller saying he's the third best shooter in the state of Indiana right now.
There's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter in the state of Indiana now. Okay. It goes Caitlin, Tyrese, and now myself.
We'll have to get Tyrese's opinion on that. I'm not sure Tyrese would agree.
So there you go. Caitlin talking about that, poking fun at the appearance. That was one of the first things that stood out. Then there is the important question, which came later in the broadcast about the CBA. And one thing you have to like about it is Caitlin Clark was confident.
No one expected it to unfold like that. Not the producers, not the league, not even NBC. It was meant to be routine, a brief segment, a light crossover moment. Show the college star, share a smile, a quick chat, and move on. That was the script. Instead, by the end of the night, the atmosphere inside the building had shifted. Phones lit up, executives murmured behind closed doors, seasoned veterans fixed on the monitors like they had witnessed something off schedule. Because in under 2 hours, Caitlin Clark didn't come across as a visitor, she commanded the spotlight. And that's when tension surfaced. It started subtly. No flashy alert, no dramatic setup, just a standard NBA broadcast on NBC Sports, highlights playing, crowd noise steady, analysts trading jokes. Then the host mentioned her casually, joining us tonight, Caitlin Clark. It sounded ordinary. It wasn't. The moment the camera turned, the tone changed. You could sense it, less celebration, more weight, a quiet unease, like the room realized the timeline had just accelerated. She wasn't expected here yet. Not this soon. Not this prominently. Not on this platform. Yet there she sat, composed, at ease, no hesitation, no newcomer stiffness, positioned beside veteran analysts like she belonged there all along. And the striking part, she didn't seem overwhelmed. She didn't carry the wide-eyed or people anticipated. She didn't present herself like someone newly stepping onto the biggest basketball stage in the country.
There's no more iconic figure in basketball, in women's game right now, or the game in general, about Caitlin Clark. In the game in general, lads, all I gotta say is that that is not something that the WNBA would be happy with. We saw it. The WNBPA said that Alyssa Thomas was the reason why people are watching. And by the way, it's not even, people are like, oh, it was the finals about Alyssa Thomas. No. They literally said it wasn't just the playoffs, but our regular season broke records as fans went to watch Alyssa Thomas.
She spoke with total command, dissecting pick-and-roll coverage, pointing out defensive lapses, even correcting the host and former players, not trying to blend in, but moving like she already had her place secured. Viewers picked up on it instantly as social feeds accelerated, clips spreading everywhere. Wait, she's really sharp. Why is she this poised? How does a rookie sound this seasoned? It stopped feeling like a novelty moment. The buzz shifted into something stronger, presence, control, credibility. And that kind of command can unsettle people, especially when it arrives ahead of schedule. What audiences didn't see was the reaction off camera. Phones were lighting up, front office staff messaging each other in real time. Are you seeing this? Why is she in prime time? When did this move get made?
The league's biggest star is saying she's confident a CBA will get done. Then there were some other topics hit up on the broadcast as well, including her wanting to play at Madison Square Garden. You know, that is where she was broadcasting from, the Knicks and the Lakers. It is a great arena. I've spent a lot of time in the Garden.
Lakers and the Knicks taking center stage here for the 302nd overall meeting. And for the first time ever, we've got basketball night in America, the first Sunday in February. And we're joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark. Yes.
First time at MSG for a Knicks game, so it's pretty cool.
I know, it's her first Knicks game, first time field.
For years, there was an unspoken understanding. WNBA stars in one lane, NBA in another. Different spotlight, different business, different worlds. Crossing over wasn't the norm, especially for newcomers. But no one handed Caitlin Clark that memo, or she simply ignored it. While others waited patiently, she stepped onto the biggest stage in basketball media like the entrance had always been open. Then came the moment no one predicted. The broadcast cut to the arena feed, Madison Square Garden, packed, roaring, historic, the kind of setting tied to legacy. And the crowd. They weren't chanting for the NBA names. They weren't focused on the matchup. They were calling out hers. Caitlyn. 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 On an NBA night. Let that sink in. A WNBA rookie drawing louder cheers than established NBA veterans inside Madison Square Garden. That's not routine. That's not just promotion. That's momentum shifting in real time. And that kind of shift unsettles decision makers, because suddenly this isn't a simple appearance or a friendly crossover. It's something bigger.
Listen, there's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter in the state of Indiana now. It goes Caitlyn, Tyrese, and now myself.
We'll have to get Tyrese's opinion on that. I'm not sure Tyrese would agree.
Right here, she's taking over for me right now. So
Into the arena.
Well, I feel fortunate enough. A lot of the arenas we go into, a lot of people are cheering for our team, which is pretty nice.
Snap.
But there are some road games. I think even the Liberty fans, San Francisco, the Valkyries have a great crowd. Like, you want to take them out of it right away. You want to make them call the first time out. I think that's kind of what we always talk about, but that's what makes it fun. And I like what he said. If you're a star, like, these are the games you show up for. And that's really true. Like, these are the games that just mean a little bit more, like MSG on a Sunday night. Like, that's.
Insiders kept using the same word, unplanned. No one anticipated her owning the broadcast. No one saw the ratings surge coming. No one expected NBA fans to tune in and ask, who is she? I'm here for her. That's when the unease sets in. Because if the audience follows her, the league isn't required. If networks call her directly, the league isn't necessary. If sponsors want her face, the league becomes secondary. Once a player operates beyond the system starts to panic. Even veterans felt it. Years of grind, empty arenas, long flights, low pay, battling for recognition. Then a 22-year-old arrives and, in a single night, eclipses their national exposure. It's not motivating. It feels personal. It feels like replacement. And so the murmurs began, this is too much. They're pushing her everywhere. It's just hype. But the numbers didn't lie. Every appearance she made spiked ratings. Every clip she touched went viral. Not a little, but dramatically. And that revealed the truth nobody wanted to face. She wasn't riding the league's wave, she was creating her own.
Iconic figure in basketball in the women's game right now, or the game in general. So we said, let's have a bigger conversation. And it's just so crazy that it feels like every other sport will just come out and say what it is besides the WNBA. The NBA is not scared to acknowledge that there's no more iconic figure in basketball. Not just the women's game, but possibly the game in general than Caitlin Clark. But we would not hear that in the WNBA space. We wouldn't hear that from WNBA media. But the NBA media and the NBA and the league itself is not scared to say it. Like we've seen it when Caitlin does golf events. It just seems like every league but her own is not scared to say the truth. But I do think
that's backwards. And backwards is dangerous. Then it got even stranger. She wasn't just performing on camera, she was running the room. Hosts directing questions her way, guests pausing to let her speak, former NBA players nodding as she broke down plays. A rookie teaching veterans live on national TV. That's not routine. That's dominance. And dominance breeds tension, because it no longer reads as, look how far women's basketball has come. It reads as, why didn't anyone anticipate this? Nothing rattles executives more than missing the future. Insiders are blunt. NBC wasn't even the first to call. Another network hesitated, overanalyzed, delayed. NBC moved fast, signed, booked, executed, and suddenly owned the story, leaving the others exposed for missing a generational talent. After the show, the room fell silent. No celebration. No applause. Just a heavy quiet, like everyone had just witnessed history in motion and didn't know whether to cheer or brace for what came next.
Healthy. It doesn't matter what arena it is, what venue, home, road. The biggest thing is Caitlin Clark being back playing basketball and healthy. But, you know, her crack there was good, too. The Liberty probably aren't going to want to move over. She knows the history. The Liberty were owned by the Garden, Dolan, and MSG. They are now owned by Joe Tsai and the, play over at Barclays in Brooklyn. So there's no chance the Liberty would ever play in Madison Square Garden if you know the dynamics between the Knicks and the Nets in the city.
Caitlin Clark didn't simply appear on NBC. She crossed into a new tier. It wasn't a cameo or a guest spot. It was a shift you can't reverse. She no longer looked like only a WNBA name. She came across as a basketball presence, full stop, beyond labels or limits. At that level, you don't wait for approval, you choose stages, partners, and opportunities. That's real influence. And organizations get uneasy when athletes carry influence, because influence brings leverage, leverage moves control, and control has always mattered most. When the lights dimmed, the arena cleared, and clips kept circulating, one quiet question lingered in league offices. If this was her first NBC moment, what comes next? It didn't feel like a high point. It felt like a signal, the start of something larger, something the structure hadn't prepared for. Maybe that's why no one said it openly, even though everyone sensed it. This wasn't just an introduction. This wasn't just television. This wasn't just buzz.